Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be showing you how to do parallax mapping tunnels or whatever. I'll show you, you'll get more of an idea of what I'm talking about. So for this map, I just did this and we're gonna do this in another spot. Just wanted to show you how it looks. So this is a door, right? And sometimes to get doors like this where you go through a path, that's the music that triggers in the game, but you can see it's a very clear, like it's clean. If you look here, kind of in between, they line up right with the edge of the door. So if you have kind of like a not totally straight edge, you can still get that feeling that they're immersed in there. If you look at her feet, you know, the darkness kind of covers her at the top. It just looks a lot cleaner, just generally a lot better to do something like this than to do it purely with events. Also, relying on all those events to fire is going to kind of break your game more often. So if you have a situation where you just kind of slap an image over something as opposed to requiring events to make it work, that's going to be a much better situation for making a game that is more robust in the long run. Okay, so what we're going to do in this video is I'm actually going to do this in another section of the game, and I'm going to show you how I do it. I'll be using Photoshop. If you need an image editor that is free, I recommend Krita. Krita is great for parallax mapping. I actually use it more than Photoshop in many instances. I have Photoshop, but the only real bonus to Photoshop over Krita is some of the really extended high-level features. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe and follow my YouTube before we get started. So I got 137. That's actually a lot for me. Also follow me on Twitch. I stream almost every day, working on my game, working on stuff. The main thing I want from you, if you can help me, is just like this video, subscribe. You can even share it if you want to go super crazy. But let's go ahead and get started. So the map I'm going to add the parallax over is this one. So when I started my game, I actually didn't use followers. I made it so it was more true to the Final Fantasy VI-ish style, where you only have one visible while you're playing. And I've since then switched it to where you can see who's in the party. You know how it is here in this. Now in this particular place, I'm just going to walk through it, because in the editor, if you push control, you can move through objects. But you can see it turns everybody off and turns them on. Now this was relatively okay for a single player situation, although it wasn't as solid as what I'm going to do now. So being that I changed it to where I have followers, and also generally this just is not as solid as the way I did it in the sample that I showed you at the beginning of the video, we're going to go ahead and make this the same way it was in the previous example. So let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing you need to do is save image. Now I just want to say real quick, the save image, while it works for most maps, for some of the bigger one, RPG Maker MZ will automatically downsize your image. So if it's, especially if it's over like, 2000, either wide or tall, there's a good chance that RPG Maker MZ will actually downsize it, so that won't work. So you'll need a plugin. The plugin that I use for map shots is called Orange Map Shot here. And the major advantage to Orange Map Shot is, for one, it will never downsize the image, so you don't have to worry about that. And for two, you can include events. So if you have events that you want to be included in your parallax map that you're using, you can specify in the plugin here to draw events. Now it's currently set to false, but you can set it to true, and then it'll show the events on the picture. And that can be useful, whether it's for reference, or maybe some of the events are particularly important to your environment, so you want them to be included. You see instances like this on bridges. If you're using an event for a bridge or an event for a waterfall or something, and you need to either know that's there or you need to implement it into the parallax map. Very, very important. Okay, so moving ahead, by the way, I'll leave a link to this in my description here. I don't think I'm going to have to use Orange Map Shot for this particular one. Also, as a side note for you MV users, there is no save as image option on MV, so you have to use the Orange Map Shot plugin. But okay, let's go ahead. So I'm going to go and save it here. It says automatically saves it to a folder in your documents called map images. So let's go there. So let me go to, I've just got it in the other window here. So here's my documents folder. We're going to go to map images, and this is map 091. So that's this one right here. Now, first thing I need to check to see is if it downsized it. 1920, I think it did. I think it did downsize it. Actually, let's just comparatively create a map shot of this. So the way you create map shots is you open the map while you're in game, if you're using orange map shots, and then we're gonna get back to that scene, and I'm going to push print screen. And there it pops right up. And here, if you can see, this one is much bigger, right? 3840 by 2880. So clearly, the save map image will not work for your parallaxing needs in this context. So we're going to use this. Let's go ahead and open this with Photoshop. Let's just compare real quick so you can see the difference. This map image does include the parallax background, which is kind of, you don't really want it. The only reason, I mean, because the parallax background is going to be moving, and it's also doesn't tile correctly. You see how there's like a gap here, right? So it's just not a good call to use this. In this particular map, there are some exceptions, but because of the parallax map showing, I would just use the plugin in this context. If you wanted to go super ham, you could turn off the parallax background and then turn it back on. But the fact that it's already so small, it's half the size, the resizing factor, you're going to want to use the Orange Works plugin. It does work for MZ and MV, so no problem there. And I've had people actually ask me and almost tell me, like, you should just use the save image. And I'm like, bro, you're such a noob. That thing only works for like very specific situations. So in general, I'm going to recommend that you use the Orange Works plugin for map screenshots. Okay, so now we're in this situation here. And really, all I want is this right here. So the way PNG files work, PNG is the file format that you save most game images in. They tend to be smaller if they just don't have anything on them, which is great for game images because you can just have the very specific thing you want, and you can still keep it somewhat positioned with the image's actual size. For this one, I don't know how exactly I want to do it because this is really big. And one of the things with larger images, if you plan on ever exporting your game into a mobile format, if the images are more than 2048 by 2048, you can have problems. Sometimes certain mobile platforms will accept it up to 4096, which is double 2048 by 2048. But for the most part, you're going to want to keep the images that you use for parallax mapping under 248 by 248. First off, let's just see if that's even an option. So when I'm going to go ahead and crop this image, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it is. This way, if I crop up to the top left, it'll actually save everything. So, and if I were to just plop this image into the game with no coordinates, this part right here, the key part I want is this underpass to be shown. It's really the only thing I'm concerned about in this map. And I could actually delete everything else, but just to get perspective, I can go to image and canvas size here, and the width is already too big. It's already past the 2048 threshold for mobile. And eventually I do want my game to be on mobile, so I'm actually going to have to move the image with some coordinates, and that's fine. We can do that. So it's just getting a little bit more complex than I thought maybe was necessary for a video, but you guys are smart. You can deal with it, right? You guys got it? You all okay? Y'all okay here? Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to literally just delete everything outside of this area, right? And actually I have to delete a little bit more than that. Probably like to, let's go all the way to the edge of the rocks. To like here. Because there is a possibility an arm or something could go over it. So we're going to just do image selection invert here, so that we're selecting everything else, and we're just going to destroy it. Okay, so now I want to creep into these sides just to make sure it's extra clean. So I'm going to use the spot selector tool. Delete that. Okay, now we got to go into this cave. So I don't want these steps to be above the player. So I can actually start kind of working into this cave. I'm going to just take out a spot of this, and then I'm going to fade the rest. So here, anything that is on this will go above the character. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a fade with the eraser tool. First got to unselect. I also got to change it to pen mode or brush mode, not pencil mode. So by doing this, it creates like a feeling like you're walking into darkness, right? Now, here, let me expand this a bit. Right there. So now, when you walk into here, you'll see like the light kind of goes over them. The darkness kind of goes over them as they walk through. Then we want the same thing here. I want it to be like they're coming out of the darkness, right? So just erase all of this. And I can, I can kind of erase these edges too for good measure, because that way it'll just blend better. And I'll go ahead and just, this isn't super uber necessary, but I'll go ahead and just add a little bit of a blend here. So I'm holding shift just so it creates a straight line. And then I can do it here too. You noticed on the edges I used a much smaller eraser tool. And also I do need to take out a bit more of this. That stair can't show. Okay, and that's pretty good. So this will work now as is. I'm going to go ahead and drop this in, and you'll see that it's already going to be working. So let's go ahead and export. So I'm going to call this mother-cave. Got to make sure, by the way, that you save it in PNG 24. You might be able to get away with PNG 8, but I would just do PNG 24 because the blends are going to be better. If you look at the size, it's about 80K. So even though the image is like 2000 wide, 80K is not a big file in any way, shape, or form. So again, with PNG format, if you have all this open space, the game doesn't really care. And you can use the image exactly like this if you're not planning on putting the game on mobile. My game, I am kind of setting up for mobile, and I do have a mobile version out there. It's just in beta, and I have it on itch. So I am kind of like making my game for mobile as I make it for Windows at the same time. So okay, here's our map now, and you can see you can't really walk through, right? So we're going to go back into RPG Maker, and I'm going to just put this in a notepad so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe get a little bit better of an idea of what's going on here. So this is like a basic code. This is going to be, so this is the layer, then it's layer 1. The image is called Mother Cave. And we're actually going to do layer _s. And what that means is that this is a static layer. The other layer, if you just do layer, it's going to be tiled, right? With layer without the S, you can make it actually move. So that's great for like atmospheric effects like clouds and things. But we want a static layer because this is basically, we're putting an overpass in like a stone entrance, and you don't want it to ever move, right? This is 0 by 0 here. 3 is not good. We're gonna have to put it on layer 4. This is the Z index here. This is basically where your parallax image lies in the layer. The character is at 3, and usually the map is at 1, or is at 2 or 1, and things that go above the character are 4 and 5. And with Galv's plugin, you can actually put it in like 99 if you want. So it'll be like super high, but we just need to do 4. And the reason why I'm doing 4 is because I want it to be below the weather effects that I added on the other layer. This is your blending option. 1 is additive, I believe, but I want to set it to 0 because that's just normal. If you have more questions about blending options, let me know or in the comments. So we'll cancel that. And now that I got that code, we're going to come back here. And in the comment here, I'm going to put it as layer 1. And then layer 2, the sky black one, this is the cloud layer. So I'm pretty sure this will work as is. Look at that. So clean. Now that I'm looking at it, the transitions are a little bit less faded than I would like them to be. Okay, so now that this is set, there's one more issue that I have to adjust. And this is, if you're not ever going to make your game on mobile, you can like go to another video now or whatever. But if you want to set up your game for mobile, or at least contribute to the possibility that you could submit your game as a mobile game, then you're going to have to do this last step, right? This is mobile only going forward. So this image is just too big for mobile. It doesn't matter that it's small. It doesn't matter that it's only 80K. It's just the format of being an image this size, it's going to get rejected by mobile platforms. So what we can do to compensate for that is I got to figure out how much this is. So I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but this is the way I always do it. I just will do like a image crop, right? And then I'll look at the canvas size. So the width and the height. Actually, so first I'll look at the width. I'll just copy that. 1952, that's a good number. And then I'll write it down here. 1952. We just cancel. And then I'm going to select inverse. If I enter this image in, I can actually use it already. And I just have to move it over 152 pixels. So we're going to do the same thing here. Image crop. Then I go image canvas size. So this one's, the height is 11, whatever that was. So I just write that down. Okay. So now if I go back here and I invert this and then I crop, this will be the only image I need for the parallax. Now the other image was 80K, so I did save 15K. That's a relatively trivial amount of file space size. So again, you don't really have to do this if you're only making it for desktop devices, Mac or Windows or Linux for that matter. But if you are making it for mobile, you will have to do this type of thing a lot because mobile doesn't like big images. And by big, I don't mean file size, I mean resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this. Right? Okay. And now we come into the notes here. And I'm going to switch out the coordinates. So I recorded 1952 by 1150. So X is always first. So 1952 here. And then 1150, right? So basically this X and Y coordinate is telling it where to position it on the map starting from the top left. So 1952 over 1105 from the top. So 1952, the X distance from the left, and 1150 the Y distance from the top. So let's go ahead and play it and make sure it works. And look at, oh, I'm a little off. Did I put the numbers on? Oh, I did. Okay. So I was close, but I put 1150 and you saw how it was a little bit off. So we're going to, the actual number is 1105. I don't really think I'm dyslexic, but I had a moment of dyslexia there because I mixed up that 0 and that 5. But no issue there. But you see now it'll work perfectly and I'll have this nice little thing to walk under. Beautiful. Looks great. Has a nice feeling. The fade is good because as you walk in, it almost appears as if you're fading out as you go in equally, even though it's just like a mask over it. It's just covering it. So it looks really, really good. I'm actually very satisfied with this. Just going to recheck the size real quick, make sure there's no like, you want to make sure that it doesn't like cover up part of like their arm or something if they walk by it, and it looks like it's freaking solid. This is some great shit. I'm pretty stoked. Okay. And also just to look down here, you can test this one that we made earlier that I made before the video. And yep, still works just the same. You just walk right through. The music didn't turn on, but that's That's a separate issue. Hey guys, again, thank you for coming by and checking out my video. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Check out my other videos. Let me know in the comments what kind of stuff you want me to show you how to do. I am pretty much the RPG maker MV and MZ sensei, so just let me know if I can help you out, and I would love to. Again, thank you for checking out the video, and thank you for coming to my channel. I wish you the best. Farewell. Aloha from Maui. I will see you next time.